the pad, and it should be everybody in the world. Morning crew, and welcome back to the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel. Now I'm still working on Alan's Honda CB750 K2, born in 1972. This bike is almost 50 years old. Wow. Honestly, actually, come to think of it, it was born the same year that I was. Jeez. Anyway, so in this video, the plan of attack is to fit a new set or a new pair of ignition points and condensers. And it's only an intermediary kind of video because this bike is ultimately, in the next video, believe it or not, going to get electronic ignition fitted from Dyna. It's already got the Dyna coils fitted now. That was one of the previous videos. So if you're interested in doing that conversion, and I can strongly recommend it, then check out the previous episodes. So I only opted for some aftermarket points because this video is purely for demonstration more than anything else of how to fit, how to install and correctly set up both the points gap and the ignition timing on this particular bike, because there's lots of these bikes around and lots of variations in capacity as well of this kind of era that run the same ignition system. So these are Tomax, never heard of them before. And that's the part number there, look. So Tomax part number for these ignition points is that. And again, I went for aftermarket condensers. I would have normally gone for genuine Honda if these parts were going to stay on the bike permanently. But in all honesty, they were crazy expensive for my source here in New Zealand. So a pair of aftermarket condensers will do the trick. Remember, often people forget to change the condensers. Very, very important, because it controls the arcing on the actual points themselves, the actual contact points, and basically prolongs their life tremendously. So it's well worth replacing the condensers at the same time as doing the ignition points. Now the points themselves are located just behind that little chrome cover, which is on the right hand side of the bike. So let's head over there now, get the cover taken off, and take a little look to see what we can find. Now, unfortunately, this poor little bike at some point has had the thread stripped on this bottom screw, unfortunately. And something else I have to have a look at potentially trying to fix. But the top one's still good, so that's obviously what's holding the cover in place at the moment. And on previous videos, we have been in here to have a little look. I think a lot of people shy away from replacing their ignition points because, well, they don't really understand how they work. And they're actually very, very simple. We've got two ignition coils on this bike, which is a wasted spark system because it's 4 cylinders. So each ignition coil provides spark for 2 of the cylinders. One of the coils, cylinders 1 and 4, the other coil, cylinders 2 and 3. And just to reiterate, we've got the yellow wire there. Look, so yellow wire, this one coming in here, is basically ground. Well, it's grounding the coil to charge up the primary circuit. And then when you want a spark, it's this set of points that opens up, breaks the circuit, the field collapses, and it induces current into the secondary winding, and hence we get our spark. The blue wire, and these are, I have replaced these, but these are the original color codes. The blue wire does cylinders 1 and 4, so for the other ignition coil. And of course this is the set of points for that coil. And we have had this set of points out in the past because they were really badly pitted and burnt, and we did a bit of a cleanup job on those. But now we're going to replace them completely, so we can just take them completely out and stick the new ones in. So on this particular bike, it's got cap heads, not genuine Honda. I imagine it's going to be a little screw in there, a little Phillips screw. Similar to that one there, actually, the adjustment screw. So that's a number 3 by the looks of it, and we're going to need a little socket to go on there as well. Apologies for the lawnmower noise in the background. It appears that everybody under the sun is doing their gardening this week. It's the first week after New Year's, so we can just pull that one clean off. They're on they're not on an eyelet. They're on like a little U sort of joiner thing. There we go. So we'll pull that out of the way. And the next job is to then pull the condenser wire out of the way. Let me get some little pliers. Don't want to see my big chubby fingers in there, do you? Right, so we can pull that one down as well and take that condenser off. And it appears that this cylinder, the points that do cylinders 1 and 4, basically it's the lower condenser that's fitted in that location. Oakley dokley. Right, we can now undo this screw. Now I don't want to lose these because they're pretty rare, especially in my workshop. Right, that's one set of points out of the way, and now we can do the other side. There we go, look. I remember on the little Suzuki Jeeps in the forest when we had the off-road centre, I would fit a set of points to the distributor just using nothing more than a Leatherman. Set the points, get my thumbnail, and away they go again. Geez, I've not had this off before. This is tight. Oh man. Okay, pair of mill grips. So in the interest of not chewing up the head on that little screw, I might try and find another little cap head from somewhere. I'm bound to have one somewhere. I'm just going to pop these on and just crack it off, because I know it mashes up the outside a little bit, but at the end of the day it saves the head of the screw, doesn't it, for your screwdriver? A little bit smaller. Better to do it now than after I've chewed it up. Oh, a bit tighter, I think. There we go. See how that's going to fare. There we are. Right. Sometimes it's better to admit defeat right at the start. There we go. Sorry, Cammy, you're just completely in the wrong place at the moment. Right, so that's that one. That's the lock screw for the adjuster. And then we can undo this one here, look. This is the retainer. There we go. Fantastic. Ah, as it turns out, we've got 2 adjustment screws, one down there as well. So, we need to slacken that one off as well, don't we? Because later on, we're going to be moving that plate around to get the timing just right. There we are. Done. So ideally, it'd be great if I could find 2 more of those. That would make life a lot easier. So if you're going to plan to do this job, I would suggest, I think these are, what are they? An M4, I think they are. Little M4 thread. Be a good idea to get a few of those before you start, and then you can replace those at the same time. Make life a lot easier next time round. And you can see they've also done it on the actual mounting plate as well. So when we come to adjust the left-hand points that do cylinders 1 and 4, we adjust the whole plate using these 3 screws here to lock it off once it's in the right position. And then we could, to do the ignition timing for cylinders 2 and 3, we adjust this sort of sub plate here on the right hand side. Right, back to the bench. Listen, all the lawn mowing has stopped and the weed whackering and strumming and stuff. It's great, isn't it? Thanks, neighbours, appreciate that. Okay, so we've got the old 2 points off. Let's take a quick, really close-up look at the condition of these 2 points. Now, one set I've already cleaned up, the other one I haven't. Now, hopefully we get this thing to focus properly for you. This is one of the sets of points. And if I just push on there, look, it should open it up. There we are. So you can see inside there, we've got quite a bit of pitting. It's not as bad as I would expect. This may well be the set of points that I've cleaned up. Oh, come on, focus, there we are, look. So again, you can see just starting to pit on there. So, what are the other points like? Oh, these are a lot darker. And there's quite a, in fact, you can even see some of the residue of the arcing actually on the metal on the side here, look. So it's been arcing quite a bit, it's been sparking away, and it's not particularly good contact. And it's quite rough, is the surface as well. Something else to check out on your points, if you are just servicing the bike, and you're going to put the old points back in, which, you know, people do, and I've done that myself, is to check the condition of the spring, because I have had points, the springs on the points break more than one occasion, to be honest. So if you see any kind of fracture lines around the spring, again, it has to be replaced. It won't be long before that actually snaps, and of course you'll lose 2 cylinders. Another thing to check out, if you are going to reuse the points, is the actual heel. That's this bit here. This is what runs on the cam, and these do wear down. And of course, as they wear, it changes the clearance, what we call the points gap here once you've set it. So again, you know, if that's worn or badly worn or quite scored, then it's a sign that there's been no lubrication on there, and you know, it's been wearing against the cam. There should be a little bit of grease on there, and we'll be putting some on when we come to reassemble with the new points. So there you go. Just a little insight on what to look for on the points. Oh, one last thing actually is, again, check the condition of these little insulators on there, look, because they again can crack over time. Try and get it focused for you. They can crack over time, and again, it has to be insulated. If the incoming wire, you know, from the ignition coil grounds out, then it's going to be permanently energized, and of course you're not going to get a spark. It's not going to have the circuit broken even when the points open, and of course you won't get a spark. So it's important that the condition of these insulators is good. Right, let's see what's inside our magic boxes. I'm hoping that the supplier, Tomax, will supply some kind of lubricant to use on the heel of those points. One thing I did notice on the Honda CB750 is there's no felt. Sometimes you will see a little piece of felt or cloth. It's like a clothy kind of material which you can put some oil on, which helps to, and it basically lubes the cam and of course therefore the heel, or in this case heels, of the 2 sets of points. This bike does not have that system, but to show you what I mean, I found a picture on the internet, so we'll head over to the laptop and take a quick look. Now, obviously, this isn't a CB750 setup. It's only got 1 set of points, and it's quite different in its arrangement. But it does highlight the fact, if you're setting up some points, this is what that felt piece looks like. It's not on all bikes. It seems to be quite popular on the old British stuff, and it's here where you would apply that bit of oil. And I think just a bit of engine oil should be fine in the felts. That's all I ever used to use when I was a kid. But the points contacts themselves should be absolutely free of any kind of oil residue. You want to make sure that you clean them with some brake cleaner or something. Make sure it's nice and clean. Any kind of oil on there is going to cause problems. Right. I remember in the Honda points, I used to get my little Honda C50 go-kart powered engine that was in my go-kart. They used to supply a little sachet of oil, like grease. Now, obviously, in this box, you just get the points, you know, budget, I suppose. But that's how they should look on the actual point surface. Lovely and flat and smooth. But for storage purposes, there's probably a bit of oil on there, so we're going to give those a bit of a clean with some brake cleaner before we install them. And of course, there's no felt on this system, so I'm going to use a bit of dielectric grease, just a tiny amount on the cam. Dielectric grease tends not to fling off, and it should still provide sufficient lubrication to minimize any kind of wear on that heel. It's good to see a new set because it gives you an idea where you can compare just how much wear there is on those heels. Actual fact, let's go and get the verniers. So on the original points, the heel is 3.9 in depth, and on the new ones, substantially more by the looks of it, yeah, 4.7, nearly 4.8, so there's quite a considerable amount of wear already occurred on those original points. Something else to bear in mind as well, just get my pliers. Now then, where's the old ones? No damage the new ones. There's a set of old ones. Is you've got to be conscious of the wear on the pivot as well. So if you find that the point surface has worn at an angle across here, then it's an indication that the actual pivot here is worn, and that would, that again would render the points needing replacement. So keep an eye on them. These should be nice and flat. They should make contact, completely parallel, and and parallel to this surface here. If they're not, you're going to need new ones. Right, so we've got old, let's not mix them up. We've got a new one there and a new one there. So first job before we install them is just to clean off any, oh geez, come back, any kind of, it's alive, any kind of residue, on those points, on the contact surfaces. I'm going to need a rag. Okie dokie. Right, it's a bit of an old towel. Just put a bit of brake cleaner on there. It's a lot easier to do this now than it is on the bike. And we'll just pop that through there and just give it a little run up and down on the towel. That should be enough for that one. Make sure there's no bits of towel stuck to it. That wouldn't work at all, would it? Right. I'm just not allowing it to have the full pressure because it's actually quite grippy, these little springs. There we go, look. That should do the trick. Excellent. Right, so with the points, the actual contact part of the points, the two contacts cleaned and free of any kind of oil residue, we can now go back to the bike and install these. Here we go. Now, just before we do that, I think it'd be a great idea to clean the cam that those heels run on, and that's just here. So I'll do a bit of a close-up and we'll see what kind of a condition that's in. Well, looks pretty grubby to me. Now, obviously, this has got some lubrication on it. I can feel some grease on there. But obviously, there's also embedded in that particular grease is going to be some metal fragments and dirt and that kind of stuff. So now's a really good time to get all that cleaned off, because those impurities are going to cause wear. They're going to cause wear to the cam and to the heel of the points, which means that they won't last as long. They're going to close up quicker as that heel wears faster. So we need to give that a good clean off. Bit of brake cleaner, a bit of a rag should do the trick nicely. So we're just going to run that over the top. Oh yes, so much better. Right, we'll just rotate that around a bit more and I can clean the rest of it. Look at that, I've got a big blob of grease on there. Makes all the difference, doesn't it? Just taking a few more seconds to do the job properly. There we go. And again. One of them's on compression. There we are. Right. Excellent, nice and clean now. So as we know, there's a couple of different types of setup. One setup's got the felt, which you can apply a little bit of engine oil to, and that will lubricate the heel and the cam lobe. But this is a feltless system, so the question is, what kind of lubricant should we use on that cam? It clearly has to have some. Without any kind of lubricant, the heel of the points would wear really, really quickly, and that's not good for anybody. So I always use dielectric grease, just a little bit of dielectric grease, just a dab. It doesn't need very much. It tends not to fling off, and does the job. It's got enough lubricating properties to stop that heel, from wearing down. Right, what I tend to use is the Forge, what is it, S421. It's a spray type dielectric grease, and I found it works really, really well, but you do need to shake the can quite a bit. Just a little bit is all you need. I reckon that'll do nicely. Good job. Right, where's those points? Now, just be aware, these points are handed, and the part number with the L on is for this side, left, and the part number with the R at the end is for the right. So, on the back, we've got a little stud mount, and that needs to go in that hole. It's a pivot, and it's critical you get it in the right position. There we are, look, and we're going to hold that in place, and just move the points round until we've got the hole lined up just down here. You can't see that, can you? I'm going to move the camera a bit. Excellent stuff. Okay, so you can see that the points now lined up with the hole to accept the screw. We can pop that in there. Give it a twizzle. And keep the points held in position until you get the screw pretty much all the way in and it's sort of finger tight. You don't want them dropping out of that pivot hole. Otherwise it causes a bit of a problem later on. And it's easy done, to be fair. Right, so now those points are installed but not yet set. We've still got the clearance to set. So we're just going to nip them up, put the heel against the cam. Just nip them up a little bit for now. There we go. Super. Right, where's the other points? Now, like I said before, these are handed, so sure as hell won't fit the wrong way around. Okay, so again, just lining up the pivot point with the hole. There we go, look. And now you can see that the screw hole is also lined up. Hopefully we've got enough clearance between you and the camera and the bike. Yes, we have, just. There we go, look. Lovely jubbly. Now again, I'm just going to make sure that the heel's against the cam. There we are, look. And I'm just going to tighten up one of these for now so it's not flapping around. There we are. Okay, with the points installed but not yet set, we can just replace those condensers. A nice easy job. Okay, let's do the top one first. Jeez. Wonder what that's for. Must be to hold the wires in place. Okay, right. First new condenser going in. My fingers are not meant for screws this small, to be fair. Oh, look at that. Bloody good. And they do install touching each other, which isn't a problem. There we go, that's that one. Not quite as tight, that one. Cool. Okay, pop him in there, put the screwdriver on, see if we can line it up. Oh yes. Not trapped any wires, that's good. Give it a tweak. Excellent, make sure it's sat nice and flush. Okay, so next job is to connect the wires. So, where's my little socket gone? And just out of interest, this is a 5.5mm socket, just in case you have one kicking around. Always very fiddly, you gotta make damn sure you get everything in the right place. There we go. Right. So we've got Mr. Condenser. Doesn't matter which way around they go in there, as long as they make good contact. We've got Mr. Condenser and Mr. Points. It's currently not quite lined up. There we are, look. Super. Give that a little tweak up. Now, don't go all gorilla on these because there's only a little tiny bolt and you don't want to crack your insulators. Excellent, that one looks just fine. Put that wire behind there, look. I think that one, where's that blue wire? See if we can get him round there, look. Just tucks it out of the way. Nice. Right, one final little tweak. That will be quite sufficient, to be fair. Quite happy with that. Now for the other side. I'm not going to take the nut all the way off for obvious reasons, because it'll take me ages to get back on again, know me. Right, so we put condenser on first, didn't we? Now, Mr. Yellow wire, that's going to have to go around like that, I think, on this one. In fact, let's just pop that one in first. Bit fiddly, but you'll get there. There we go, look. There's always an easy way, isn't there? Right, let's just tuck that condenser wire down the back out of the way, twizzle that around 90 degrees, and it all seems to sit just a little bit happier. There we go, good and tight. Now then, can I tidy this one up a little bit? I think I can actually. I'll probably rotate that condenser one around the back a bit more. I like to see them offset by 90 degrees, to be fair, rather than back to back like that. There we are. Now, obviously, you've got to make damn sure it doesn't touch earth, otherwise you're not going to get a spark. But we've got a good few mil gap there, so we're all right. Perfect, that will do me. Now, next job with all the new components installed is we need to set the points gap. Now from memory, it should be 0.3 to 0.4 of a millimeter. So we're going to set it at 0.35 and then we're sort of bang in the middle of spec, aren't we? Now to do that, all we need to do is rotate the crank until the points are at their widest point. And then I'll show you how to set the gap. Right, still opening. We've got to do cylinder, which one is this one? This is 1 and 4, isn't it? So we'll do cylinder 1 and 4 left-hand points first. Okay, they've gone past their point of maximum opening, so we'll go around again. Gives me an idea of how far they should open now. And if you notice clearly at the moment, the points didn't actually close, which again, if your points gap's too large, if they don't close, you don't get any current flow through your primary. Right, that is about maximum. Get our feeler gauges. 0.35, where are we now? Let's have a little look. 0.1, 0.35, there we go, look, as if by magic. Okay, well, clearly way too much at the moment, so we can fix that. Just going to pop the points of the feeler gauge in, slacken that off. You see the movement on there, look, crazy, isn't it? Right, how we're looking, still too big. Now, on here we have a little adjuster, so we can put the flat bladed screwdriver in there and we can close the points up slightly. And it should be a fine drag, and at the moment that's still quite loose, so the gap's still too much. Let's have another go. And I'm just going to tweak that screw a little bit, make sure we're not too slack. There we go. Nope, a bit more yet. Ooh, that feels pretty good. I like that. Let's have that. Nip it up. I'm just going to double check that's good. Yes, perfect. You want a close-up, don't you? So there you go, look. If I keep really quiet, you might be able to even hear the drag. You see the points are not opening at all any further when I put this feeler gauge in. That's an indication that it's good. As long as you can hear the drag at the same time. So I'm very happy with that one. Okay, let's head round to the right hand points and do those. So again, we need to rotate the crank until we get the maximum opening on those points. There we are, just starting to open now. And we're getting bugger all. Okay, so it tells me that the heel isn't close enough to the cam, so we need to adjust that. Let's just try it out. There we go, look, right, so I'm going to stop. There we go. Okay, again, way too much. So I'm going to slacken that off a little bit, just so I've got some movement with the adjuster. And the adjuster is here. We need to close the points up, so we need to twist this one upwards in the clockwise direction. There we go. Let's see what that's like. Nope, still too slack. Bit more. Oh, that was maybe too much. Not sure. Oh no, no, we're still loose. A little bit more. There we go. That's got to be enough. Oh yeah, it's just dragging. Making sure I'm not twisting the feeler gauge at all. Need to run it in there parallel. That feels actually really good. Okay, just going to tweak that up and then double check it. That's good. That's really good. Excellent. Job done. So, the points gap on both sets of points has now been set. The specification is 0.3 to 0.4 millimeters. We set it at 0.35, bang in the middle of spec. Now, whenever you clean up the points, adjust them, replace them, whatever you do to them, if you touch them basically, you need really to reset or adjust your ignition because it's guaranteed to be out a little bit. And it's done during normal servicing because don't forget, you know, as those heels wear down on the points gap closes, and you've got to get in there with your feeler gauge and reset them and usually dress the contact, the actual contactors as well. So, you don't need any real fancy equipment to do the ignition timing. Sure, you could use a strobe light, sure you could use a specialist piece of Honda equipment, but you don't need it. All you need is a little tiny test light. And this is a 12 volt, obviously because the bike runs on 12 volts, 1.7 watt bulb. It's tiny. Wow, that's tiny. So, on the crankshaft, there's a little disc and it's got two F positions. One is for cylinders 1 and 4, which is, from memory, the left-hand set of points, and the other is for the right-hand set of points. So we'll head over to the bike. I'll show you how to connect up the test light, and I'll show you how to check to see how far out the timing is and how to adjust it. Here we go. Now, I've watched a few videos on YouTube about how to do ignition timing on these old CB750s and the like, and in all honesty, the camera work on the critical point, which is this, isn't particularly good. So before we start connecting things up, I want to show you what you're looking for on that particular plate and the markings. So if you look back, where's my little pointy stick? If you look right back on here, we've got markings on the disc, and we've got the datum in the casting. That's, oh, look at that bit of dirt. It's that little line just there. And it's important you know what you're looking for. Always turn the crank clockwise. I'm going to bring that around. Very slowly so don't miss anything. See what we see first. I have no idea. Okay, there we go, look. So, this is for the points that do cylinders 2 and 3, which is the right-hand set of points. So I'm going to keep going around, and you will see coming up now is the marking F. That's the firing position for the right-hand set of points. So remember that for later on. And we're going to keep going round. Okay, there we go, look. So we're now approaching the firing point for cylinders 1 and 4. That's the left-hand set of points. If we go just a little bit further, there you go, look. Bang on. That's the F, the firing position for cylinders 1 and 4. Okay, now that you know what you're looking for, we can get that test light wired up. Okay, very, very simple. Just one, it doesn't matter which, they're not, there's no polarity on a bulb, so it doesn't matter which way around it goes. We're just going to plumb that with this little crocodile clip on the end of the screw that holds the wiring in place, and then put it to ground. That's it. That's all we need to do. Next job is to turn on the ignition. Now, I'm going to try and get everything in one shot so you can see exactly what's going on. So I'm just going to get the little test light bulb and tuck it down here, down the back. And we'll know when it comes on, because you'll be able to, it'll illuminate the background. Okay, I think that's far enough out of the way of the disc. Okay, let's get you lined up again onto that little firing mark. Okay, so in the picture we can see the little hole for the timing marks, we can see the contact points themselves, and in the background we should be able to see that little light come on once the points open. Whilst the points are in the closed position, current is flowing straight down to ground. So this terminal here is ground essentially. Once the points open, this becomes 12 volts. Okay, let's just take it round. I'm pretty sure we're going to hit cylinders 1 and 4 first, which is what you need to do. You must do the points, the ignition timing first on cylinders 1 and 4. You'll see why a bit later on. Okay, there we go. Look, 1 and 4 coming up. And the F is just about to align. Oh, look. Right, no light yet. Let's keep going. Okay, it was slightly late. Let's go around again. So the light's on at the moment. You can just see the light in the background. Let's keep going. Right, we've just gone past 2 and 3. Going back around again. It's important you take your time doing this. It doesn't want to be almost right. It wants to be absolutely bang on. Okay, coming around again. Cylinders 1 and 4. Just gone past. Yes, it is slightly late. So what we'll do is we'll just go around again. You should only turn the crank clockwise. And we're going to stop this time and line it up with the line. So that's 2 and 3 going past. I can actually see better on the camera than I can down the hole because I'm slightly offset here. Okay, so cylinders 1 and 4 coming up. And we're going to stop this time dead on the line, even though the light's not lit. Okay, I reckon that is absolutely bang on. So we can now loosen the 3 screws that hold that base plate to the crankcase. So just going to slacken those off. Going in. Okay, now I need to rotate that backing plate anti-clockwise until the light comes on. Okay, I don't know how stiff it's going to be. I might have to give it a little tap. Just bear with me. Okay, anti-clockwise, here we go. Oh, too far. So it's going to be a little bit of a, you can see the light on the background. I think we're about there. Just got to get it absolutely bang on right. I think we're there. Seems about right. So we'll give it, just going to tweak that plate up. And then we're going to go, I've just locked off one of the screws for now. Just going to go around again. Okay, going past 2 and 3. Points are now closed. Bulb's gone off. There's current flowing through the primary winding as we speak. Coming round. Right, we're almost there. Have to get really slow. Okay, firing point is coming up. Watching for the bulb to come on. Well, I would say that that is absolutely bang on. Good job. Okay, so that is the ignition timing done for cylinders 1 and 4, the left-hand set of points. So I'm just going to go around now and tweak all of these up because we won't need to move that base plate again. It's flickering on and off. It's so close. There we go, look. Okay, so the next job is to move the test light onto the second set of points. Well, that went swimmingly well, didn't it? Hopefully you can see the little light coming on in the background. I just wanted to get everything in one shot and it'll be obvious what's going on. Okay, so we'll plumb him onto there. I'm going to tuck, oh, just came off again. Tuck the light down the back, and then just pop that back onto the engine casing. Right, we need this bulb to be down the back really. There you go, that should work. Perfect. Right, time for cylinders 2 and 3, the right hand set of points. And you don't want to take too long doing this because the coils are going to be getting quite hot when there's current flowing through them. It's not going to cause them any particular damage, I don't think, because they're sort of designed to do this particular kind of job. Okay, now the adjustment on the right hand set of points is done by this subplate. You don't move the main backing plate anymore. That's now set. Okay, so we're just rotating the crankshaft clockwise, and I want to see when that bulb comes on. So it's off at the moment. We're going past cylinders 1 and 4. Now making our way around to 2 and 3, which is for the right hand points. There we go, look, 2 and 3. Coming round. Now, that's a little bit early. I don't like that. So we're just going to bring it round to the fire point, which is there. Right, we bring you back and we'll make an adjustment. Okay, we've got these 2 pretty mangled screws going on now. I've got one here, so I'm just going to slacken that one off, if I can. Jeez. There we go. And the other one. Now, I also, with this being on a secondary sort of subplate, I'm going to give it a good ground. So I'm going to put a test lead just off the back there, look, out of the way, and then down onto the engine casing, just to eliminate any possibilities of a poor conductivity whilst those screws are undone, because it relies on those screws to give it the circuit, and of course we've just slackened them off. Okay, so we'll just bring this down. This is where the adjuster is here. We're just going to bring it down a fraction and give it another tweak. There we go. Right, so I'm just going to do one screw for now. Let's see where we are. Okay, going a full 360 then. Not far off. There we go, 2 and 3. F is coming along nicely. Watch out for the bulb. Let's try again. Ooh, it's just a bit late now, isn't it? Just move the camera and have another look. Sometimes the angles can be a bit deceiving. Yeah, that is definitely after the mark. We'll just go around once more and just double check that. I think it's going to need some more adjustment. Okay, here we come. Yeah, definitely after. Okay, time for another adjustment. Now, what we need to do is put that back on the F mark, bang on. So we'll take it round again. Two and 3. Perfect. Okay, that one's still loose, so I'm just going to slacken this one off a little bit. Jeez. Need to find a better screw for this. There we go. Okay, bringing that down a bit. So rotating it clockwise. There we go. Bulb is on. Just going to tweak that back up again. There we go. I'll just do that one a little bit as well. There we go. Right, let's see where we're at. Fingers crossed. Okay, 1 and 4 going past. Bulb goes out. Here we go. Right. F approaching. Perfect. So there you go. Not too long a video, hopefully, on showing you how to install ignition points and condensers onto a CB750, and there's plenty of different versions out there that all run points, and also how to set the ignition timing once you've fitted the points, which is critical. You have to do it, but in reality all it takes is a little tiny bulb on a couple of wires. And I do prefer to put that little fly lead on there as well, because there was definitely some discrepancy going on when those 2 screws were loose. It was causing a bit of ambiguity. So by fitting that, it prevented that from being a problem. Made it much easier to make the necessary adjustments, whether I was moving that subplate anti-clockwise or clockwise. So the bike now is in a condition where it should be able to be started. And it hasn't been started for quite some time. Now, this is part of the CB750 project, and hence why I'm doing this video. It's not just about showing you how to install points. So for those viewers that are following this particular series, you might want to hang on for a few more minutes. Those that only wanted to see how the points are fitted, well, you can go away now if you like. It's all entirely your choice. But the bike has had a complete rewire on the primary circuit. It's had a new ignition relay fitted, which didn't exist before, which then prevents the current for the primary circuit for the coils going through the ignition switch and through the kill switch. It has a direct feed. A lot of the wiring was old, it was corroded. There was so many bad connections on that particular circuit as well. So all that's been replaced. It's getting a direct feed from the battery now, and it's got the new Dyna coils. In one of the previous videos, I actually made up some new HT leads. They've already also been fitted, and new spark plugs which have been gapped. So this will be the first start for this bike. I'm hoping, absolutely hoping, that it fires up on all 4 cylinders, because the original customer complaint was very poor starting, and we checked the bike and it had weak spark. And number 2 cylinder was down a little bit on compression as well, which meant it was even less likely to start than the rest of them. And on a cold, wet day, didn't want to know. It only sort of came into life after maybe 30 seconds or a minute of running, which is no good to anybody, is it? The bike should start on all 4 cylinders. So by having a nice, crisp, strong spark during crank on cold start, number 2 cylinder hopefully will fire up. So let me go and put some fuel in the carbs. We'll give it a go. Right, carbs are full of fuel. Just going to turn on the ignition, put on the choke, press the fire button. It's actually pretty hot today, so it may not need much choke. Ignition is on. Choke on. Here we go. Well, that's jolly good news. All 4 cylinders started right at the same time when I cranked. Number 2 wasn't being a bit lazy anymore. Fixed. So there you go, bit of fun. That's how you fit new ignition points and condensers to a 1972 CB750 K2, but it applies to lots of the Honda bikes of that era, especially the multi-cylinder ones, the 4-cylinder ones, which use 2 sets of points and a wasted spark system. If you enjoyed the video, why not click on the subscribe button? You'll see a little gear icon turn up, click on that, and then you can tick the box and turn on notifications, or you can ring the bell. I think it is now on modern videos. Ring the bell and our friends at YouTube will send you a notification via email as and when I upload any new videos. You'll also find me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, so you can communicate through any of those portals or via my email address that's down below in the description of this video. Now, there is also a Patreon page. You can read all about the history of the channel, how it came to be, and of course there's profiles on all the gorgeous tool girls as well. No tool girl in the workshop today, unfortunately. You can also become a patron through that portal, and you can make a donation to support the channel if you like. You can do that also through PayPal as well. You can do a one-off donation using the email address andymechanic@live.co.uk. Okay, crew, well, it's definitely lunchtime. I've got to grab something to eat and come back into the workshop and convert all my hard work into an electronic ignition system from Dyna. Okay, crew, well, until next time, cheers, over and out. And we get the flip again.
Oh!
Really?